Afternoon, everybody. It's a tall order actually to stand between you and the lunch hour. I was just telling Bhuvanesh that I don't know whether you're being fair to me or to the audience, but thank you very much for staying back. I will take this opportunity to talk about the IHCL growth story and how IHCL unlocked the opportunities in the hospitality sector. Okay. So, we all know how the industry has performed over the last decade. India has been one of the fastest growing economy, expected to continue growing at 6.5% and become the third largest economy in the world from its current status of fourth largest. And the whole growth is anchored on four different main pillars, if I could say, whether it is the infrastructure-led growth which connected every parts of the country, the stable governing environment in the country, also the increase in the discretionary spend, and finally, of course, the increase in trade. If you look at the hospitality sector, the sector has done fantastically over the last decade with inventory almost doubling and the demand keeping pace with occupancies actually increasing and another at least 5% CAGR growth in rates of various hotels. So, given this, the IHCL story, growth story is actually an evolution through a series of revolutions, both internally and externally. The journey of transformation started way back in 2017-18 when as a company we were loss making, we were ridden with huge debt and IHCL was not really considered a force to reckon with in the industry. Given that, we said instead of thinking what now, we said what if? What if IHCL looked at its own self, looked at restructuring its portfolio, reimagining its brandscape and re-engineering its processes, what could we make of IHCL? So, with that started our journey and our first chapter of growth, which is Aspirations 2022, where we said we want to make IHCL the most iconic and profitable company in South Asia. What did it really mean? It meant we want to grow and increase our portfolio to at least 25,000 rooms and make ourselves profitable and increase our EBITDA margin through re-engineering our processes to at least 25%, which is almost 800 basis points higher than where we were when we started. And all of this was done by just three major pillars. One is just simplifying everything that we do, all our processes, the entire business and the structure, the holding structure that we had, so that it brought in agility, speed of decision making. We also synergized. We were a formidable group, a huge group part of the Tata Group, and we said we need to synergize across the various sectors within the group, and finally scale because growth was imperative. And with this, we actually had a great start and started growing fantastically till the COVID hit us in 2020. Until then, we did everything right, looked at our assets, looked at the approach to how do we do it. Do we build or do we go through asset light? We adopted an asset right strategy where we said we'll continue to build while we go out and do third party contracts, focused on operational excellence and people who are at the core of all that we do, and not forgetting the entire pioneering spirit of opening new destinations, going to newer markets and eventually nation building. All of this continued well until COVID hit, and no amount of education in any B school taught us how do we handle a situation where there are absolutely zero revenues. And we were also hit the same way as everybody else was. And this was the time where the entire industry was shutting down, closing down hotels. First time we heard people being furloughed, sent home, not knowing when they would be called back to work. And at this point, we said we'll take a pause and we launched what we call as Reset 2020. And what was Reset? Reset was actually looking at newer ways of bringing revenues within the system by redefining what excellence in operation was, to give care, and the need of the hour then was to look at people and the communities that were impacted by the COVID situation, whether it was the medical fraternity, whether it was the young students returning back home. So we opened our doors, we became quarantine centers, we got the health workers and doctors to stay in our hotel. Of course, there was sharper focus on optimization, spend optimization and costs. There was sharply looking at how we spend, where we spend, and eventually effective asset management of our various assets and exhibiting financial prudence. With this, what we also did during COVID is we launched our first QSR brand, that is Cumin. And mind you, this was done from a need where our customers wanted to have, they were missing our food. So QSR for gourmet food service to their homes. And we launched this brand right from production to logistics to everything. When people could not even meet and get together for a conversation, we did this all online. And Cumin became a big business during COVID, supplying food to the needy, supplying food to the medical officers and the health workers, the police who were actually providing all the service during that time, and also taking our gourmet food to our customers in the safe environments of their homes. What we also did as part of the Meals to Smile is we served 1 million meals to all the needy people during this situation. We completely reimagined how we did business. We launched iZest. So we all know how when there were hotels shutting down, we actually kept our hearth burning. We got our hotels to generate revenues enough to cover all our costs. And when this Cumin, once we were getting out of COVID, when most other hotel companies that followed suit and also launched their home service brands shut them down, when it was time for the guests to come back to the hotels and to their restaurants, we just reimagined Cumin as a brand, and it took many different avatars, from gourmet home delivery to reimagined menus for comfort food. It took shape as cafes, Cumin cafes at various places. And eventually today, Cumin is the all-day dining restaurant within our Ginger hotels, what we call as Cuminization of Ginger. So all that goodwill, all that good work we did during COVID, we said we need to capitalize and we need to look at newer and innovative ways of using them for the benefit of the company. Once we got out of COVID, of course, like everybody, we also had huge debt on our balance sheet trying to cope and overcome this whole situation. We said now it is time to go back, and we announced a call for action called Ahvaan 2025 with renewed vigor to grow and to bounce back big time. And big time and how? We said we will now have bold targets. We will grow at least to 300 plus hotel portfolio and margins of not just 25 but take it to 33%. So another 800 basis points higher and a balanced portfolio of 50-50. And the most important thing was eventually we'll become a zero net debt company by 2025. And I must tell you that this dream and this aspiration, or Ahvaan 2025, we reached well ahead of time by 2024 or financial year 2025, and the performance is here to see. Our revenue grew 2x times, EBITDA 4.5 times, PAT positive. So from a loss-making company, we delivered 12 straight quarters of profits. Margins grew not just to 33%, but surpassed at 35%. And we were a company with 300 crores of net cash. So this is what Avan 2025 targets, achieved well ahead of time. What happened to our portfolio? Portfolio grew again 2.5 times. Our rooms also grew 2.5 times. And a footprint from mere 85 locations, we came to almost 180 locations. And while we did sign at a furious pace, where at one time we were signing 15 hotels a year, and we signed 74 hotels last year, which was the highest for us and highest, probably one of the highest in the industry in the very foreseeable past. And not just signings, we also opened hotels and opened through COVID and thereafter, and we opened 26 hotels. So it's not only about growing for the sake of growing, these are real growth where you actually see real operating hotels. Armed with this and the fact that Taj now is the most iconic and world's strongest hotel brand, and it has been announced in 2025, and also 3 out of the last 4 years, it has been the world's strongest brand, and for 3 consecutive years, India's strongest brand 2025. Well, so what next? While we achieved the 2025 targets ahead of time, in November last year, we said now we need to look at a different approach to growth. Because what got us here is not going to get us where we want to be. And if we have to be a formidable force in the Indian landscape, we worked with other hotel companies to move and to get things done, whether it is policy, whether it is getting new status, infrastructure status for the industry. IHCL was at the forefront of the hospitality industry to bring about change, so that eventually it is not just benefiting IHCL but benefiting the entire industry at large. And in November 2024, we announced our next chapter called Accelerate 2030. Now, what is Accelerate 2030? We said it's not enough to be just the most valued and profitable company, but we need to be responsible and profitable company. So that whole thing about responsibility with the launch of Pathya, how do we actually create a positive impact in the environment around us? That was the focus. And with that, we said we will still continue to grow. We will increase our revenues at least double by 2030. And our portfolio also more than double, which means from a 350 hotel portfolio, we will reach at least 700 hotels by 2030. And now we said margins, yes, but we need to also look at our other stakeholder, return on capital employed, and we will have a ROCE of at least 20+ percentage points. So with this, we said if we have to grow, how would we grow? Not by just adding, making a larger development team, looking at more hotels. We said it cannot be the same approach. So our approach to growth has to be completely different. And what we did is we are working with our existing owners on doing more with them. And you would be aware we announced a framework agreement with the Ambuja Neotia Group to do 15 hotels. And there are more such announcements you will see in the near future, where we will do more with the same owner, at the same time bringing newer owners within our fold and looking at inorganic growth. And we recently announced a majority stake in NK and Pride, the company that has the Clark's group of hotels. So we said we will work with them and bring in sizable, significant hotels in the mid-scale, upscale segment, which will give a big boost to our presence in that growing market. So, as we stand today we are a 550+ hotel company, and the Acceleration 2030 targets of reaching 700 seem not too difficult to achieve, and we are quite confident that we are on the right path to achieve that. So that's a quick peek into our growth story from aspiration to acceleration. And before I sign off, I want to leave you with a small AV that gives you a sneak peek on what Acceleration 2030 is all about. Thank you very much.